Hey everybody, if you're wondering why it's a bit echoey in here, it's because I've been doing some decorating and we've been doing a lot of moving around and stuff. Just bear with the sound. But today's video is something that I can be really smug about because for years, since Brexit happened, since the vote was cast, since the Remainers lost, and we won, there have been conspiracy theories, large amounts of copium from the Remainers side when it comes to how they deal with their loss, with their inability to keep us within that Soviet-style bloc. And one of those conspiracy theories that they came up with was the idea that Russia helped influence the Brexit vote. In fact, not only did they influence it, they helped bring it about. And the person who pushed this forward the most, I'm not sure if she necessarily invented it, but she was the one who pushed it to such an extent that she even went to court over it and lost. This is Carole Cadwalladr. She is an author and a left-wing journalist, and she's most famous for exposing the Facebook Cambridge Analytica data scandal. That is something to be applauded for. That is a good bit of journalism. Unfortunately, that's really the only good thing she's ever really done. The rest of it has been the usual Remainer leftist spiel. Now that's Cadwalladr's background. Now we know who she is and what she's all about. But what's this story all about, and why is it so interesting, and why do I feel so smug? Well, you see, she's been having an ongoing libel case with a man called Arron Banks. Arron Banks is a British businessman and political donor. He was the co-founder of the Leave.eu campaign, and he was also one of the largest donors to the UK Independence Party and helped Nigel Farage in his campaign for Britain to leave the EU. So this guy's a pretty big deal when it comes to the Brexit side. And what she did in countless articles all over the net, she consistently said that this man is a Russian agent, that the people who ran the Leave campaign were Russian agents, that they were receivers of Russian money. In all of these articles, she never had any evidence to back it up. There was no sources, there was nothing. So Arron Banks decided to take it upon himself and sue her, because you can't just make baseless accusations against people, not just organisations, and get away with it. And according to Guido Fawkes, just before the hearing was scheduled for 10:30 that morning, Carole Cadwalladr finally admitted that there was no evidence to back up her claims whatsoever that the Russians backed the Brexit campaign, or that Arron Banks was involved with shady dealings with the Russians. The article then goes on to say that why she left it to the eve of the hearing to admit it was all bollocks defies belief. Cynics might note that she still has two crowdfunders running, one to fund this hopeless case and another to fund her investigative journalism, which produced this bollocks. Yes, she's an investigative journalist again, but this is really what she's been putting most of her work towards. And not only that, she's won an Orwell Award, but more on that later, guys. Now let's just take a look at some of these crowdfunders that she's been doing. Now here's the first one, which is to support her against Arron Banks. And with 11 days to go, Carole Cadwalladr managed to make over £169,000 out of the £175,000 goal. Over 5,800 people gave this woman, who has admitted she basically lied and can't prove anything, money for what I can only assume was for them to get what? Closure over Brexit? Was it to back her lies? I mean, it depends on the person, obviously, but I can guarantee a lot of people have been hoodwinked and duped into defending this person because of their own politics, because she confirms their biases. It just reinforces their beliefs. Some of them will have ulterior motives, obviously, a minority perhaps, but most of them are too stupid to do that. Now let's take a look at the second one. Democracy, the fight back.
Democracy.
And it links to another TED Talk, as you can see here, and she's raised over £364,000. This is the person that's trying to overcome a democratic referendum. The British people decided that they wanted to leave, yet apparently this is a fight for democracy, because she's lied and saying, look, this can't be a democratic vote because the pesky Ruskies interfered, which, as we know, is a load of bollocks. So there are the crowdfunders. None of this is something that I would pay good money for. She's a liar, and she's now admitted to it. Now we've seen the fundraisers, let's return to the article because there's a lot more information. According to Guido, she now has to pay 62 grand of costs on account this morning as a down payment. Expect that figure to go higher. She has avoided the humiliation of appearing in court this morning by submitting in writing an amended defence, which removes the truth defence and the limitation defence. According to Guido, it's legalese for it was all complete cock and bull. She has not stopped milking the crowdfunding books yet. Carole has learnt there are plenty of gullible idiots who still want to believe her fairy tales. She intends to continue battling Banks by trying to mitigate her costs, with the argument that despite there being no truth to the allegations she has been making around the world to much acclaim, they were made in the public interest. So she will run up her crowdfunded legal bill to argue that her disinformation was in the public interest. She has tried to portray this legal case as some kind of freedom of the press battle. It wasn't. She has for years made unchallenged allegations which were motivated out of political malice. yes, finally, she has had to admit they were untrue. What more can I say about that? I will add the fact that they are so shameless in what they do that when they've been caught out lying, they try to phrase it as a, well, you see, I didn't mean to lie, or well, I did mean to lie, but I did it for the benefit of you, for the people. I was mistaken, I couldn't prove all this, I was wrong, but it's okay because it comes from a good place. I may have spread disinformation across the web and the world over the past several years to sully and defame people who voted a particular way that I don't like, but I did it for the people. I did it for democracy, guys. You've got to believe me. Let me pay a bit less. She's doing the exact same thing that all these leftist journos do. Well, pretty much any corrupt journo. It's not just the leftists. I mean, The Sun, for example, is not a left-wing outlet. Even they, when they won their libel case against Johnny Depp, they phrased this as some kind of press freedom victory, when of course it isn't, because as we all know now, Johnny Depp was the victim. If it weren't for some questionable decisions from a questionable judge, he would have won. None of this has anything to do with press freedom. It has nothing to do with freedom of the individual or even groups. This has everything to do with, as Guido says, political malice. It's purely to push their agenda out there, which is to roll back Brexit, to deny the British people their will, and to enforce their own vision of what Britain and Europe should be onto the rest of us. And that's something that I don't agree with, and I think it's something that most of you don't agree with. And not only that, it kind of makes me wonder why she even bothered to expose Facebook and Cambridge Analytica when really they would be really good allies for her, because they're neoliberal globalists, just like she's an SJW globalist. Surely they would have some kind of vested interest in coming together, but apparently not. Apparently Facebook is working with the Russians. That's what her TED Talk was all about. But anyway, do you remember when I mentioned she won an Orwell Award? But firstly, what is an Orwell Award? Well, according to the Orwell Foundation website, each year the Orwell Foundation awards prizes to the writing and reporting which best meets the spirit of George Orwell's own ambition to make political writing into an art. There are currently 4 prizes for political writing, political fiction, journalism, and for exposing Britain's social evils. So that's what the Orwell Award is. Now, Douglas Murray, in his article about this, says that Carole Cadwalladr should now return her Orwell Prize, and his reasons for her to return the Orwell Award is very simple. First off, that she defamed people like banks, published smears, created a poisonous atmosphere in post-2016 Britain, and also mentioned that there was precedence for this because a decade ago her predecessor Johan Hari was forced to hand back the Orwell Prize for Journalism after being found to be dishonest in his reporting. So in his opinion, considering all the dishonest stuff that she's been doing for the past couple of years, she ought to do the same. And I agree with that. There's nothing else there that I can add. But really, to conclude, this is just one more nail in the coffin of the Remainer argument. We now know that it was really them who were the pushers of disinformation, the ones who tried to lie to the people, that it's them who are anti-democratic, who do not want people to have their say, and will ignore their will in favour of their own. They're the ones who cannot handle their own worldview being challenged and being questioned, and we even know to what extent the depths that they will plunge in order to make their vision a reality, and it's a very low place indeed. I hope that the people who are backing her wake up, at least the ones who are stupid, and realise that this woman is just stringing them along, and when as soon as they wake up, I hope they also demand their money back from all these websites. And I hope that she gets punished for this. I hope she hands back her Orwell Award. I don't think she will, because she'll be full of pride and wouldn't really want to do so, but I might be proven wrong. It's just further proof that they're intellectually bankrupt, and not just that, morally bankrupt, and they can't even prove their own arguments. So anyway guys, that's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video, and until next time, I'll see you all later.